All right, here we go. And we're live here at the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal.
That would make me terrible, Troy.
I'm Treacherous Trista.
And I am Beheading Justin.
Excellent. Justin Beheading, I think we've decided is this.
Justin Beheading. Yeah. I approve.
And I have to give credit. That was Eric in the Without Your Head Facebook group. So I don't want to steal his thunder.
Well, thank you, Eric, for coming up with that one. That was very creative.
Yeah, we were going over skulls earlier before we went live. Maybe that'll be a future edition of the show, 13 Skulls.
Going over our skull collections.
Right. Years ago, actually, in Salem, I found a skull in the woods in Dead Horse Beach. And we found out it was a goat skull. So I don't know how it got there. There was some type of sacrifice going on, but it was weird.
You should have kept it.
I gave it to Annabelle.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So tonight, though, it's not skulls. So there might be skulls involved, but it's the 13 werewolves. Our 13 favorite werewolf films. So we have the honorary list man here, of course, with us, Justin Beheading. He probably didn't have to prepare. He's like, oh yeah, I've got that right here in the desk.
Pretty much, it's all here on paper.
Yep, vampires, werewolf. There we go.
He keeps them in alphabetical order. The list.
Yep,
exactly.
Were boars, were bears, were tigers, werewolves. There we are.
Someone suggested, because they said not just werewolves, but I don't think the movie they suggested was actually a lycanthrope movie, Black Sheep. And that more like, aren't they like zombie sheep?
I think you're right. I think they're more like the undead.
I'm ashamed to admit, that's actually one that I've heard about for years. I need to get around to seeing. It's just eluded me for years. I don't know why.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I like it. But we don't want to get too many rules here. We don't want to. Joe Castro has all the rules when we have him.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So anyway, we'll start with number 13. Or we traditionally we start with Trista.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I feel weird about my list. I feel like I might get some shit for it, but it's my heart. So, okay, my 13 is The Wolf of Snow Hollow. And I went with this because I like Jim Cummings as a writer, director, and actor. I really like watching him. And also it tackles alcoholism and like toxic masculinity. And I just like the film. I thought it was unpredictable.
That's a recent movie too.
Yeah.
Which is, it's cool to have some newer films on here. We might be able to get some guests up from that during our 6 weeks of the werewolf here. We'll try to work on that.
Actually need to see that one. I heard about it though.
Yeah, I saw it recently. I don't know if it was part of a festival we were covering, but I saw it recently. It was it didn't make my list, but probably because I didn't think about it. But it's a good pick. My 13 is a movie from 91, but I actually just watched it when I was trying to watch I've watched dozens of werewolves movies recently to prepare for this. And so this one made my list. It's just a fun movie, Mom, from 1991. And it's about a grandma who becomes a werewolf. And it's a comedy, but it's got good gore and the makeup's really well done. It's kind of I would say a hidden gem because I've not really heard people talk about this movie.
I don't know that one.
Plays this really evil guy in it. He's like so overtly evil that it makes me laugh. All his dollars like, just really it's something like I would do, I think. But I really dug this movie. So it's free on Tubi if anyone wants to check it out. Mom.
I will. I'll have to remember that.
It really should be called Grandmom, but it's called. You're number 13, Troy. We'll go around.
Okay. My 13, I just changed it recently because it was going to be Cursed, which I enjoy. But I think, in all fairness, all the Universal Wolfman movies that aren't the Wolfman. So, like Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, everything, that Lon Chaney Jr. was the Wolfman and besides the Wolfman. There's none of them are great, but they're all worth watching just for him. And the Lawrence Talbot character is just so great. He's so perfect as it. So that one, maybe I'll get some shit too, because that's my jumbled up number 13.
It's like 20 movies into one.
Yeah.
It's a 20-way tie. I'll let it pass.
Joe Castro wouldn't, but
No,
you will.
He'd
All
have
right.
your hide.
I know.
I noticed. So, you know what? I was saying I don't have a werewolf shirt, but I just remember I do have an American Werewolf of London shirt, but I didn't.
Oh.
Wear it, unfortunately. But this is a weird patch. It's a military morale patch of the Wolfman. I have no idea why they made it.
Nice.
I like it. All right, Justin, you're number 13.
So my number 13, going along with the Universal Monsters love, is from 1935, Werewolf of London, with Henry Hull as the title werewolf. And this has always been an interesting one for me because it came in. This was back in 2004 when Van Helsing came out. They started out with just Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman as the Legacy Collection, and each one came with the sequels or even some related movies to those movies. And so with the Wolfman, they only offered the first Wolf, the original Wolfman, and Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. So to fill in the gaps, they threw in a couple other werewolf movies. The abysmals have never seen again to this day since first watching it, She-Wolf of London. And then Werewolf of
That
London
is a bad one.
is very...
I have those sets, by the way.
Yeah, but with Werewolf of London, it's just neat to see their first attempt, what seems like their first attempt at a werewolf movie, just after they had tried to make a Wolfman movie with the director that was supposed to make a Frankenstein movie, Robert Florey. He was given an opportunity to make a werewolf movie and ended up losing that job as well, along with Frankenstein. So, I believe bits and pieces of that story ended up in Werewolf of London. And, it's nice to see that start with Werewolf of London with the basic elements of the werewolf movie, even though it is missing a few here and there.
Cool. Good pick. And a very in-depth reason.
Yeah. Yep.
It
might be on my list, but for a lot less reasons than that.
Number 12, Trista.
My 12 is a vampire movie, but it has werewolves in it, and it's What We Do in the Shadows. And
Nice.
I love the movie.
Yeah, great movie.
The great pick. I know they talked about doing the sequel for a long time, the Swearwolves, but I don't think it's ever come to
I think then they started making the show, so I that's probably everything they wanted to do.
Yeah. That's a really good pick. It's one of my favorite movies. I remember when I was in rehab after surgery, it was one of the movies I watched, and I always remember it. It's great. And if you go back in the archives, we did some interviews with the cast. No Swearwolves, though. We should get the Swearwolves on.
Yeah.
Number 10 for me is the 2010 Wolfman, which some people hate, but I like it. It's obviously not as good as the Wolfman. But I think it's a good movie, and I think the Wolfman himself looks awesome.
So yeah,
my list.
Frank Baker's effects.
Yeah, the effects are great.
Yep.
And I think the movie's good. I know a lot of people don't like it. I think it's good.
Don't be surprised if that's higher on my list.
All right, pretty good. I'm not alone then.
Mm-hmm. Number 12. Not a perfect movie, but it's got Jack in it. So how cool is that? Is Wolf and not your stereotypical werewolf kind of movie, it just kind of like accentuates him and he gets more characteristics of like a wolf. But like I said, Jack's in it, and that's all you really need. So watch Wolf. It's good.
I like it.
Great. It's good.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. I haven't seen it for a while, but I like it. I liked it at the time.
Alrighty. My number 12 goes very obscure, and this goes along with my number 5, actually, is a Spanish werewolf movie called Werewolf Shadow, starring this I don't know if anyone here is familiar with Spanish horror icon Paul Nashi, but he did a bunch of horror movies in Spain in the 70s, and he started out actually doing werewolf movies. He created his own franchise based on this character, Waldemar Daninsky, and basically made put his own stamp on the Wolfman saga. And this was the third or fourth movie in the series that he did, Werewolf Shadow, and it was basically the one that kicked off the Spanish horror movie boom in the 70s, along with The Tombs of the Blind Dead. And it's basically Waldemar Daninsky is a werewolf who is brought back from the dead after having been shot previously, and is living at a castle that also houses the tomb of a vampire that also comes back to life. And so now you have a vampire and a werewolf going around with these two young girls who get stuck in the castle with him. And it's also not a perfect movie. It has some cheesy moments, but it can be fun here and there. The cheesy elements are what make it fun. And also it does have a good sense of atmosphere.
Check this out. Was it Shadow of the Wolf?
Werewolf Shadow. No plural at all, actually. It's grammatically incorrect. But yeah, it's...
All right. You guys have given me two I've got to check out now.
Yeah, pretty cool. Geraldine says Wolf is underrated to Troy. And Nicholas Hatch says hello and sends a little wolf and a heart.
Oh, very good.
Number 11, Trista.
Okay, my 11. Also, Justin, I have to tell you, I was telling Troy he could be a vampire or a werewolf, but I think you could be a werewolf too, Justin. You'd make a great werewolf, I think. Which
I'll have, after the list, I'll have a little history on myself and attempting to make a werewolf movie if anyone's down to hear it.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, just don't let me forget and I'll mention it.
If you knew you were, we would have scheduled this for a full moon. We really would have added to
the ambiance.
Exactly.
So my 11 is Teen Wolf, guys. I love watching werewolves play basketball, and I also like Michael J. Fox.
Well, lucky for you, that movie came out then.
Yeah,
I know.
And put together your many loves.
And that's actually one that almost made my list, but I can't think of a reason why I didn't. I'm ashamed of myself for that, honestly.
You should be.
Ooh,
Geraldine also liked your last pick, Justin.
Oh, thank you, Geraldine.
My number 11 is Late Phases. I really like this movie. It's kind of about an older werewolf. Great cast. Larry Fessenden's in it. Tom Noonan. It's another one I actually just watched recently when I was watching all these werewolf movies, and I stumbled upon it.
You did your homework.
And I've been wanting to watch it for quite a while. So I finally got around to watching it, and I suggest people check it out. I really dig it. Late Phases.
I was actually about to watch this one before doing this list on Shudder, and then it came up saying that it's no longer available, and I was kind of bummed.
It's on Amazon Prime right now.
I should have done that. I should have done Prime.
It might be on Tubi too. Oh, there's a ton on Tubi.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is our number 11?
Yep.
My number 11 is already been mentioned. It's Werewolf of London.
The song or the movie?
Both. It's I don't really have much to add to it. Just I think that the special effects, the makeup effects, were done by the same person that did the Wolfman. And this was like, his first chance of doing like a werewolf makeup, which is kind of cool. And it's it's a fun movie. Like there's some real dull spots in it, but I like it.
Very good. I've seen it years ago. I'm not really familiar. I should need to watch it again. Number 11, Justin.
So my number 11 is actually Troy's number 12, Wolf, which I had not seen in years when I revisited it on Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember what day. And Yeah, no, I remember liking it when I first saw it, and I still enjoyed it to this day. And I actually watched a review of the movie before watching the movie again, and it was funny to notice that the reviewer pointed out that there's so many scenes where Jack Nicholson is not a werewolf throughout most of the movie before when you finally do get the werewolf stuff, and it kind of made me realize, yeah, it's a movie that still works even in those scenes. Like, it's still engaging, it's still entertaining. So yeah, no, it's a good movie. I like it with a pretty good score from Ennio Morricone as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen it for a while either. I should have revisited, but I remember seeing it at the theater when it came out. Now we're into the top 10.
Well, mine is Wolf as well.
Excellent.
I'm the only one without Wolf on that list.
Yeah. And that was Rick Baker too that did the makeup, right? And I'm a Mike Nichols fan, so.
Very good choice. My 10, I'm gonna guess I'm the only one who has this on here, but I love this movie. It's actually my favorite Barry Bostwick movie, and that is FDR American Badass. And he plays FDR, who battles the Nazis, and all the Nazis are werewolves. It's really dumb, but I find it hilarious, and it's a lot mostly like veteran cast. And they all seem to just have like a great time making the movie, and it's very funny. I would suggest FDR American Badass.
Look into that one now.
Very good. But I think you being the only person without Wolf on your list, you're also the only person, Neal, that marks his territory like Jack does.
Yeah, people don't need to know everything about it, but I do enjoy when I'm in a new city. I do enjoy to urinate outside.
To mark your territory, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you haven't been able to travel recently.
Exactly. It is.
Man, don't go doing that in my town, man.
I may have already. I don't know.
So I'm sorry, that was number 10.
Yeah, it's nice. It's when it's like kind of dark and it's kind of misty.
The moon's full.
Yeah, you were like one with nature. It's a good experience. All right,
I dig it.
Number 10.
My number 10, I love the werewolves in this movie, and it's Dog Soldiers.
Yes.
Probably will be on a lot of lists. I think the werewolves in this flick just look so cool. They just remind me of like a Richard Corbin comic book or something. I love them.
Yeah, I think
it's a cool movie too.
I do too. I think it's awesome. Real quick, what Troy said about me earlier, it reminds me when I was in LA last time, and also in Charlotte. So if Jason's around, he starts telling Michael and Sophia all these things, and then there was some other people I knew when we were in LA, and I was like, this is what I kept saying: they don't need to know everything about it. All right, number 10, Justin.
So my number 10
nothing
is
like horrible or anything.
Was definitely. So my number 10 is one of the few movies that I had not seen before putting together this list, and it's this is also a case where my list will consist of one movie from each of the major British studios from the 60s and 70s. In this case, it's The Beast Must Die with Peter Cushing, and I had been curious about this movie for quite a while because I'd known about it from when Severin Films first released a DVD of it years before, and decided to check it out on Shudder. And I like the murder mystery angle that they take with it, where they actually have you guess who the werewolf is in almost a William Castle fashion.
Right.
And not to mention it, I mean, granted, it's made in the days when they couldn't do a Rick Baker werewolf like in American Werewolf of London. They had to do a wolf that they would get from somebody for the film, but still, it's a fun movie, and it has Peter Cushing in it.
Yeah, Cushing makes everything better.
I would agree with that. Yes. Pretty good.
Mine is The Beast Must Die as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Another fan.
Oh.
Well, my number 9 was Troy's 10 is a Dog Soldier.
Nice.
One of my favorite werewolves. The wolves themselves look very cool.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the bipedal werewolves.
Yeah, I like those myself.
Number 9 for you, Troy.
Oh, we skipped
mine-
Trista.
I know hers was. I thought she
Oh,
said.
no,
9.
mine was yours.
Oh,
Mine
I
was-
see. I
Her
missed
number
it.
9 was your
Yeah.
number 10.
But thank you.
Oh man, I'm spazzing.
My number 9 is also a very good book called Thor, and it's Bad Moon, which kind of came and went. I'm not really sure of the year. I'm guessing late 80s, early 90s.
It was 96.
Well, 96 was it? Okay. Cool story about, kid and his dog and werewolf coming to visit, and the dog saves everybody from the werewolf. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot.
It's actually much higher in my list because it's one of my favorites and a very underrated movie. And I love that the dog is the hero of the film.
Did you ever read the book, Neal? It's good.
No, I didn't
You'd like
know.
it. It's called Thor, which is the name of the German chapter.
I'll have to check it out. I've been flying through a lot of audiobooks here, so I'll add that to my list.
That movie's kind of hard for me to watch.
Yeah.
That's the only reason it's not on my list. It's very well done, but I'm too sensitive for all the animal stuff,
Yep. Oh, I understand completely. It's why you can't go and revisit Old Yeller or something, once is enough.
Yeah.
Well, The Fox and the Hound, the most depressing Disney movie ever made.
I haven't seen that since I was a kid for that reason.
Oh, yeah, that's like Dumbo. I can't go back to Dumbo because of his mom.
A lot of
Yeah, I
children.
can't watch any of that stuff.
Yeah,
A lot of
bad
children's
times.
stories. I think a lot of children's stories are the most depressing.
Yeah, without a
Sure.
doubt.
So with a wild, I don't know. We read it in school with when the dogs get killed at the end.
Oh, where the red fern grows.
Yeah, where
Yeah. I don't know why they make poor 4th or 5th graders read that book, because that'll scar you forever.
All right, number 9 for Justin.
So my number 9 is also like Wolf, another movie I had not seen in years. In fact, both movies I realize now, my first time seeing it was back in the 2000s when I bought the DVDs for both, and for some reason never revisited them. It's Silver Bullet.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, no, it's a great movie. One that I kind of had written off back in the day as just being a really good werewolf movie, but nothing too spectacular. And then I decided to revisit it for the list and was stunned at how much I really loved it. Like Everett McGill as the werewolf, and also Gary Busey is also great in the movie. The one thing that I will say does bring the movie down just a little bit is the werewolf suit.
Yeah.
It's a little too thin. It needed just a little more muscle tone, or maybe just more fur, because it's like my arm with more hair. That's what the werewolf looks like in that movie. And but otherwise, it's a really good movie, though.
And the Bernie Wrightson illustrations, they're amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Michael of the Werewolf, yeah.
Yep. I should have brought my little pin. I have a silver pin from it's the werewolf skull from that.
Oh, nice.
They had I think when Bernie was really sick, when he was dying, they released like a series of pen and inks that he did, and it came with this little pin, and I'll have to pick it up sometime. It's really good stuff.
Cool. I don't think I've seen that.
You haven't? All right, I'll have to show you.
Number 8.
My 8, I'm sure it's on everyone's list, but higher, is An American Werewolf in London. That's a great movie. I have lots of memories watching that with my dad as a kid, and that's Rick Baker as well. So yeah, I love that.
Fantastic work on that one.
Yeah, to me, it's the best transformation scene. And I just put up some old clips of old interviews, and I put up some David Naughton ones since we're doing the werewolf stuff. And one thing I don't remember in the interview, but it was funny, was he was saying Cat Stevens turned down using Moonshadow for the movie, and also warned them against making werewolf movies. Like he was like, he thought this was to bring bad mojo to the world, making movies about werewolves, which I thought was very funny. But yeah, great movie. It's much higher than most. Number 8 is one that I've seen before, but I actually just watched it again for the show because for some reason I never thought much for the movie. And then I watched it, and because everyone always loves it, and I was like, "Oh, this is a great movie." That's Ginger Snaps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just watched it actually last night, and again, and yeah, it's a great movie. Even before
On my honorable mention.
The number 8 for Troy.
My number 8 was I think already mentioned. Yeah, actually, it was just Justin's number. 9 was Silver Bullet.
Nice.
Not really much else to add to it. Just I really.
I think you have a pin.
I do. I have the Silver Bullet werewolf pit, the skull. Speaking of skulls, it keeps on topic for the entire show.
Comes back to skulls.
Yep.
Number 8 for Justin here.
Which actually, before I get to my number 8, I do want to point out an interesting factoid I found out in the book True Indie, that Don Coscarelli was actually in the process of, he was writing Silver Bullet and almost directed it.
Oh.
So yeah, the director of Phantasm almost made a werewolf movie at some point.
That's a great book, by the way.
It is. Read it twice.
Yeah. He's also wanted to write for Nitro, WCW Nitro, which was a pretty wild thing to read about.
Oh. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
So my number 8 is Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman.
Nice.
Classic movie that honestly, it takes a lot of stuff from the Wolfman and kind of adds to it. I feel like it adds to the mythology a little more. It's also among the first ones to have a really good transformation scene and more shots of the full moon. So and there's also some genuinely suspenseful moments with the Wolfman that is something that, as much as I love the Universal monster movies, they're effective in terms of atmosphere, not in terms of suspense as much anymore. But there's a couple of scenes with the Wolfman that are actually well done, like when he attacks a cop. The build-up to it is actually really, really good. And then, of course, you get a great fight at the end with him and the Frankenstein monster, played this time by Bela Lugosi. So, you know, it's a really fun movie.
I agree. It's on my list as well. A little higher.
Nice.
Now we're into the top 7.
My 7 is Silver Bullet.
Nice.
Silver Bullet too. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. I think it's on all of our lists here.
Yep.
My 7 was Justin just mentioned Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, and for me, a lot of the reasons high on my list is I remember watching it so often as a kid. And it was just I love the Universal monster movies. I used to record them on VHS when they'd show them late at night, you know, long before the internet and streaming, or even you could get them on home video. And there was just something, even though now I don't think it's still a fun movie. It's not as good as, you know, Wolfman or Frankenstein, but it's still a well-made movie. And it's not as goofy as I think some people think. But yeah, it's really cool.
It's not as goofy as some of the later ones, like House of Frankenstein or something like that. You know,
it's really cool to see, you know, especially when your kids see the two of the monsters fighting each other. And I remember we had the old 8mm version. It was only a couple minutes long and it had no sound, but you watch it on the projector screen.
Yeah, we used to watch those things over and over and over again.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know if we still have them anywhere or not.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
I remember we had them for a long time, but we didn't have any way to watch them.
Yeah.
Any projector to use them. All right, you're number 7, Troy.
All right, my number 7 is the most recent movie on my list, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, but it's Wolf Walkers. It's an animated movie just from last year. I think it was up for an Oscar, and it lost out to Soul, which won for Best Animated Movie. I actually like this movie a lot better. Really beautifully animated. It's not one of like the studios that you usually see things from, but I think it was the third animated film from them, and Sean Bean's one of the voices. Really cool take on like a pack type werewolf thing. It's If you guys haven't seen it, though, I recommend it very highly.
Yeah, I've not seen it.
I'll have to look into it.
I won't tell you if Sean Bean lives because he probably, Sean Bean.
Oddly enough, though, Soul is on my list.
Okay, all right. I figured as much.
Very
That's
cool.
because you sold your soul.
Yeah, I was told I got my second vaccination shot yesterday, and then someone on Facebook told me that getting a vaccination is selling your soul to the devil. This was a grown adult.
Well, I guess that makes two of us. Since...
Right, or maybe all four of us.
Oh yeah, me too.
Nice.
Well, okay, we're all together then.
Yay!
We'll enjoy it.
We've all lost our souls.
Of fire together.
It's
All
where we
right.
belong.
Hello to April Cox and Ken Craver here in the chat.
Hello.
Number 7.
So my number
April
7.
Says, I'm sorry to interrupt you. April says, I don't think I've seen a single werewolf film. Unless Harry Potter counts.
Oh, is there a werewolf in Harry
I don't know.
Potter?
Yeah,
I've seen all the Harry Potter movies.
The third one. Third one has a werewolf.
All right. We'll count it. All right, Justin. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're all good. My number 7 is this is one of the few I had seen for the first time. Also, like a lot of movies nowadays that are horror on Shudder. Ginger Snaps.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really good, really fun.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
You know, and can't go wrong with two young girls that stage crime scenes, bloody crime scenes. That's always fun. So, and plus, werewolf action. There's a lot to love about the movie.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'd watched it probably rented it on DVD or probably VHS, I guess, when it first came out. And for some reason, I never really thought much about it. And then it's always on people's lists of favorite movies, and so I watched it again for the show, and I was like, oh yeah, it's much better than I thought it was for some reason. I'm glad I made your list as well. Oh, see, Geraldine agrees with Ginger Snap. She loves it.
Okay, good.
All right, that was what, 7?
Yes.
6.
My 6 is The Company of Wolves. Because it really scared me as a kid. It's very dreamy and creepy, and the effects are very cool.
Yeah, this is one I actually watched for the show. It's on our honorable mentions, and it does have this dreamlike quality to it. It honestly, I don't think you'd watch it and really. It doesn't look real, but that really is what it's going for. And
great cast in
too.
that one too. Yeah. Yep.
And everything looks very cool. It's very freaky, like the wolves they're like ripping out of the skin, which is very cool. One guy even rips the skin off, which is pretty wild.
Very early in the movie.
Yeah. Let's see. That was 6. Great choice. My 6 is Curse of the Werewolf with Oliver Reed.
Oh, great movie.
I'm a big Oliver Reed fan. Great actor. A great drinker, I guess, but
Several says stories about his habits.
I love Curse of the Werewolf. Great looking werewolf. I don't have a pin of that, but I do have a patch of that. I don't have it on anything currently, but I need to put it on something.
Gotta get the patch.
Yeah. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is Wolfen with Albert Finney. I think wasn't that the year of the werewolves?
It's weird that Howling and American Werewolf of London all came out.
Yeah. I love the shots like through the wolf eyes and stuff with got like the heat kind of infravision thing going on and stuff. I just think it's a cool movie. I like it a lot. I haven't seen that one in years. I should go back and revisit that one.
Yeah, it's on. Actually, I think it might only be rental. I was trying to watch it again for the show itself. I think it's not streaming free anywhere currently, but I think it's only like $3 on Amazon or one of those.
Okay. So that's my number 6.
Excellent choice. I've never been a fan of the movie, but I should rewatch it. I remember Troy loved it when I was a kid. Troy was an old man.
I always liked it.
Number 6, Justin.
So my number 6 is actually your number 6, Curse of the Werewolf, which this was actually back in the day. I bought the box set, the DVD box set that came with from Universal Studios. It was a bunch of Hammer horror movies like Brides of Dracula, Evil of Frankenstein, and of course Curse of the Werewolf and a few others. And I chose to watch Curse of the Werewolf because that was about the only one of those movies that I was actually, other than Evil of Frankenstein, that I was familiar with. So that was my introduction to Hammer horror films. And
it sets the bar pretty high, though.
It does, actually. And
yeah,
it's unfortunate that it's the only werewolf movie that they ever made, because it did not do well financially, actually, I heard. And it's a really well done movie. You know, it's a great, at that time, a more modern take on the werewolf movie approach to it, anyway. Given that it takes place like in the 1400s, 1500s, somewhere around there in Spain, which is always interesting to see British actors playing Spaniards, but they have no Spanish accents.
Right.
And also great design on the werewolf. It's just all in all a great, solid werewolf movie.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big fan. Excellent choice. Obviously, since I had it mine. Not obviously it's a great choice, but obviously I agree with the choice.
Obviously.
All right. Number 5.
My 5 is Howl. I think it's really an underrated film, mostly because there's some really great acting in this film. And I'm a big Shauna McDonald fan. So she's also the lead actress from The Descent, and the fellow that did the special effects on The Descent directed her in this film as well. And I think that's really interesting. So I'm fans of both of their work.
I have to admit, I've not seen Hal, but now I'm interested. I'm going to write it in my notes.
Yeah, I'm adding that to my list of things I must see now, too, especially now that I know.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Because I love The Descent. The Descent scares me all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my favorite horror movie that year. I think we were doing the show at that time. It's like 2006.
I think so.
So that was 5, right?
Yeah.
My 5 has been mentioned by everyone. So it's swept the list here. Silver Bullet.
Excellent.
And I agree with what everyone said about it. I'll just say ditto.
Oh, I like that. I can say that for my number 5 as well.
Adding a lot of in-depth analysis here. Was your 5?
I'm not going to say what my number 5 was. I'm just going to say ditto.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, it was The Wolfman from 2010.
Yeah, I really like it.
And I don't really have too much to add. I like all the actors in it. And good werewolf. And then I like the fact that he changes from, like, he'll do the biped and down on all fours, booking it for a while. And I just really dig the movie. I like it a lot. It's like kind of a good throwback type movie to me.
Yeah, I agree. And it's very cool. We saw it in the theater, which, you know, a lot of times adds to a movie, because it was very cool werewolf to see on the big screen.
Like this weekend, we might go see Spiral, which will be nice to see, like a horror flick on the big screen.
I'm not a huge Saw fan, but I do think Spiral looks good. And we haven't been to the theater for a while, so it'd be fun to go see it. It's playing, our theater just reopened in town. So that's playing. And they also started doing drive-ins, which I don't even, people won't know because they don't live here, but I have no idea where it's supposed to be because it's just a little parking lot. But the double feature drive-in, we will not be seeing. It's Mortal Kombat and like Tom and Jerry or something.
Oh, God.
Can't ask for a better selection than that.
All right. Number 5.
So my number 5 is, once again, it goes back to the Werewolf Shadow on this one. This is another one from Paul Naschy, None of the Werewolf. And so something I didn't mention before when I mentioned Werewolf Shadow is Paul Naschy was not only an actor in a lot of the horror movies that he made, he was also the writer and very heavily involved in the production in some ways. But in the late 70s, he actually started directing a lot of the movies he was acting and writing for. And so his first one was a sort of devil's type movie called Inquisition, and then I believe Night of the Werewolf was like his third or fourth movie as a director, and it's part of the Waldemar Daninsky series. Comes up, it's in the early 80s. It came out in 1981, actually, in Spain, and it's basically a remake to Werewolf Shadow, where you have a werewolf and you have a vampire in a castle, and here comes Sandy.
Yeah.
He's going to be just wandering around. But no, it's a great movie with probably, out of all of Paul Naschy's werewolf movies, it's the one that has probably the best design out of all of them. Just looks like a terrifying werewolf. And on top of that, the production design on it looks great. The cinematography is fantastic. The musical score, which is mostly library tracks, is really well selected. It's all around just a really good werewolf movie, and probably one of the best Spanish horror movies of that era. So I definitely recommend checking it out.
Very cool.
Hi, Sandy.
YouTube, this is Sandy.
She's being kind of slutty.
I know. I was thinking the same, but I didn't want to.
They always said that this would happen at some point in a Zoom session, that one of my cats would flash their butt in the camera.
I hope that the channel doesn't get flagged.
I know.
We might make some money from some cat flags.
Very true. That's very true.
Oh, which actually I should also mention. So where my finger is pointed, the poster down there is actually for Night of the Werewolf, which was released in Spain as The Return of the Wolfman. Because at that time, they hadn't made a Wolfman movie since the mid-'70s. So this was like the grand return for Paul Naschy making that character in a movie again. So.
Ooh.
Shandy. She's being very playful.
Aw, Sandy.
Number 4.
So my number 4 is The Howling, which is a film that I love, and I love Dee Wallace, and we just had her on, which was really special.
I always say this, but one of my favorite interviews I think we've had. Great guest.
Oh, she was just so awesome. I loved her.
And very, very nice and accommodating, because she knows she's a busy person to take more time out of her a second day to do part 2.
She's a very friendly person, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I met her once at Cinemonsterpalooza years ago.
Yeah, she's super nice.
And she loved Trista, which is always a plus.
Oh. Well, I loved her back.
I know you did. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Wait, coming up, and I think in 3 days is the 1-year anniversary of Trista joining the show.
Nice.
Oh.
Congrats, Trista.
I will bake a cake or something for that one, I think.
Yeah, you guys should definitely mail me a cake. I would love that.
Yeah.
Well, he just meant bake it, then he's going to eat
Yeah, then I'm going to eat it myself. But, you know.
This is an honor.
I will toast you with a slice.
I can watch you guys eat
Yes,
it.
yeah. I'm not going to write meal either.
Howling, excellent choice. Great movie. Number 4 was mentioned, Bad Moon. I always love this movie. I think it's really underrated. People should check it out. Like Trista said, it, but that, to me, that adds to it. You feel sympathy, obviously, for Thor. But yeah, great movie.
Yep.
Number 4 for you, Troy.
My number 4, I don't think has been mentioned, and it's Where, W-E-R, and just a really clever movie. I thought it was really well done. It's fairly recent, I think, within the last 5 years, 6 years. And it's a good mystery, and you don't know, like, if the poor guy that they've got, and they're pegging him as like a killer or a werewolf or what. You don't really know the backstory, and then it all starts to piece together. Just a really solid movie. I liked it a lot. Like it it really, really stuck with me because it's number 4 on my list.
Awesome. And real quick about Bad Moon, I was almost named Thor.
Yes, it's true.
I'm glad I wasn't, but almost.
Thor Jones.
Our mom left Troy name me. And from what I understand, it was between his favorite comic book character, Thor, and a friend of his in school named Neal.
Yeah, it's true.
And Neal won out.
Yeah. That's because being Troy, like, you know, I don't know, it's a strange name. And I got a feeling our mom, like, had a thing for Troy Donahue. And I don't know. So I didn't want to saddle Neal with another strange name. So we went with Neal.
Yeah. That's what we got picked on probably if I was Thor.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't get picked on.
Hey, Thor, where's your hammer? You know, one of those things.
Number 4, Justin.
So my number 4 has also made other people's lists. Dog Soldiers. Great movie. Probably my favorite from Neil Marshall. And actually, that was my first Neil Marshall film I ever saw. And I mean, it's basically, I've told people this whenever I've recommended them the movie. It's basically the movie Predator with werewolves. And, it was funny because I saw it with a friend years ago for the first time. This was back in the days when you can actually rent DVDs off of Netflix. And so, and I know that's kind of ancient history now.
I remember fondly. I was doing it up until not that long ago. Yeah.
So, and it was funny because she saw it, we both saw it, and I was just stoked on the movie, thought it was great, and she was like, "Yeah, that's all right." And I just kind of looked at her like, "It's not all."
That is annoying when you watch a movie you really love with someone, and like you're excited for them to watch it because you can have just as much enjoyment knowing that they like it, but then if they don't really care about it, it just kind of takes everything out of you.
It does. It kills your soul.
It does, yeah.
Then again, apparently I have no soul for getting vaccination.
Right. So, yeah.
Had we known that earlier.
That's how I felt when I've had people watch The Greasy Strangler. Sometimes it's like, whatever, dude. And I was like, but then sometimes they love it, and I'm like, yes. But excellent choice.
That's why I was disowned. I'm out of the list.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but Troy's not a big fan of The Greasy Strangler. But
I love everybody associated with it. But
I think everything that Troy doesn't like about it is why I like it. He's like, well, these scenes go on forever. I was like, yeah, I know. That's why it's awesome.
Yeah, it's like repetition just doesn't thrill me, man. I don't know.
All right, number 3.
My 3 is The Monster Squad.
Nice.
Classic.
I love it too.
I didn't even think about that movie. Shame on me.
Wolfman's got nards.
Yeah. No.
I love it too. It didn't make the list just because the Wolfman. I was like, it's Wolfman's in it. I didn't put it, but it's my honorable mention. It's one of my favorite movies. So.
Oh, yeah.
And we had Carl Thibault on the show who played the werewolf years ago. But yeah, excellent choice. I love it. That was the first movie I went to see with a girl. Was Monster Squad when I was like 12 or something.
Which I'm happy I got to see that at the New Bev when they were showing it about 2-3 years ago. Thereabouts as a kiddie matinee.
Nice.
All right. Excellent movie. Wolfman's Got Nards. Oh, and Without Your Head is featured in the Germany Blu-ray. There's a whole bunch of interviews and a video with me on there. I like to just self-promote while we're talking.
It gets around. Without Your Head gets around. It's great.
Yeah. I was promised stuff and got nothing. But the interview.
You didn't even get a DVD out of it.
No, I didn't. You know? I didn't get anything, but whatever. We're mentioning it. So it's good. Number 3 for me is The Howling. I love The Howling. It's a combination it's kind of a campy movie in a lot of ways, but then like it's also really like a dark movie too. So it's got kind of the combination of like an old school werewolf movie and also like a modern, it's got it's got great effects in it. It works on many different levels, and it's
That's
also got
another
the
example,
whole,
like a pack werewolf thing, which is always good.
Yeah, I really dig it. I like that movie more now than I did as a kid.
I think I should revisit that one sometime.
I think when I was a kid, I just loved American Werewolf in London so much, and I still do. It was like I had to be like loyal to it for some reason. Well, it doesn't make any sense, but now that I'm older, I like yeah.
I think my problem is I'm like a illustration elitist, and like all my favorite werewolves share like a certain look with like my favorite illustrators, and in the Howling, their ears just drive me crazy. Their ears are just too big. They look like rabbits. And I'm like, I hate this thing because I hate the ears on these werewolves. I can't.
There were rabbits.
Movie. Yeah.
And the transformation at the end, not to spoil the movie, but Dee Wallace, one of her huge strengths as an actor is you feel so much sympathy for her in all her roles.
The
and
eyes.
You feel for her when she's turning into the werewolf.
And she's the cutest.
And also when she's being
too.
tormented throughout the movie by what he thinks is a serial killer. There's something that's running around down here, and it's very loud. But
might be a werewolf.
Number 3 for Justin.
Oh,
so my number 3.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That was my number 3. So it's number 3 for Troy.
That's all right. My number 3's already been mentioned, I think, by everybody. Or maybe not Trista. I'm not sure. Curse of the Werewolf. Which I don't really have anything to add. I like the origin of the werewolf in this one too. I think it's kind of a cool take. And Oliver Reed's just awesome in it.
Justin.
So my number 3 is The Howling, actually. And so, this is a movie that I love as well. I first saw it in college, and I watched it a ton the year that I first watched it. Actually, the summer I first watched it. I watched it a bunch, and I introduced quite a few friends to it. And one of the things that I've always loved about it that has stuck with me is, along with the visuals, is the musical score. I love the musical score by Pino Donaggio. It comes into my head every once in a while when I'm just doing nothing for some reason. I love the special effects, though I do think the werewolf transformation with Robert Picardo could have been shortened just a little bit by a few shots. And in fact, Joe Dante had a Q&A when I saw The Howling at the Aero Theater in Santa Monica, and it was on film, actually. He brought his own personal film print of the film to show. Wow. He admitted that the reason why the werewolf transformation goes on as long as it does is because he showed it at a test screening, and that got such a positive reaction that he didn't do anything else with the werewolf transformation. He just left it as is, and has since then actually come to regret it, and does actually feel that he could have done with some trimming on that scene. But other than that, the rest of the effects are fantastic by Rob Bottin, who replaced Rick Baker on that movie, actually, when he went off to go do an American Werewolf of London. And on top of that, it's a movie that when I first saw it, I didn't get the humorous side that everybody was saying over the years until I started to watch it on repeat viewings. With one of the gags that always makes me laugh is that no one can remember the name of the Asian news reporter. Even the people that say this, their favorite newscaster, they can't remember her name. So, no, it's a movie that I love. I do really enjoy the movie a lot.
Very good. So, yeah, it made everyone's list, I think, but Troy's.
No, like I said, I'll have to go back and rewatch it. I shouldn't let my hatred of ears go and spoil my movie viewing.
Yes. Real quick before we get to our top 2, this is the bonus disc of the Monster Squad German Blu-ray release. So we do.
Oh, nice.
We do get a lot of mention on the disc.
That's awesome.
Very good.
It's got a Ashley Bank interview, Tom Noonan, Carl Tebow, Michael Reed McKay, who played the Mummy, and then it's got a video interview with me and Andre Gower. All right. So the number 2, Trista.
My number 2 is a movie that I love, and it's called Good Manners. It's a Brazilian film. The only thing that does disappoint me a little is the CGI, but it's kind of like Rosemary's Baby meets Little Shop of Horrors. That's how I
Oh,
describe it.
all right, I'm sold. That's going on my list of must watch now.
And I do love, Trista, that we both managed to squeeze in obscure Latin horror movies into our list. So
they're great films. I'm excited to check out your recommendations too.
Most definitely.
Geraldine mentions Where is from 2013.
2013, okay.
I've got a few written down here now in my notes to watch. So it's exciting. Number 2 for Troy.
Oh, my number 2 is
it's me, isn't it?
It's you crazy bugger.
My number 2 is the original Wolfman. We're going back here. Universal Monster movies, my favorite. So I grew up on. That's really what got me into horror movies.
Also my number 2.
Watch them as a kid. I would
mine
record
too.
them off off TV. Which is interesting because a lot of times you don't want your kids watching a lot of horror movies, but the Universal Monster movies are rated G or something, so they can watch them, but they're also not kid movies. So, I don't think a lot of kids like myself really wanted to watch kids movies, but my mother didn't care what I watched. But so if a lot of people don't want to watch, if your kid don't necessarily watch a kids movie, so you can watch a horror movie that's not made for kids, but it's also, not graphic. So you're not gonna, go insane or whatever. But Wolfman is awesome. I like the curse aspect of the movie. And it's just a great looking Wolfman too. And I know the transformation is really dated, but I kind of like that about it.
Yeah, and it still holds up. You can still watch that and still dig the transformation.
Yeah, you kind of see like how they used to do things back in the day.
Yep.
The Lap Dissolves, they're classic.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And
like
Claude Rains is so great as the dad. He's just perfect.
And I like the underbite of the werewolf.
Yes. I thought you would.
Because I have a very big underbite, so it fits me. All right, Troy, you're number 2.
My number 2 is also the Wolfman. And I still love Claude Rains. Actually, I like everything about it. I think Bale is great. It's the gypsy. And I just love everything about that movie.
Because you can also include it on if we did like the 13 gypsy movies, the 13 curse movies.
Oh, yeah.
I like that about the movies. All right.
Curse movies would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to see it in the theater a few years ago. Well, I guess it was like 8 years ago. But and they did a double feature of Wolfman and Drag Me to Hell. And at the time of
the double curses.
What a weird combination. But then I was like, oh yeah, they're both about curses.
Gypsies.
Yeah, gypsy curses, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's
they could have done Thinner on there too.
Yeah, I don't really like Thinner. But Drag Me to Hell
movie's
another movie. It's PG-13. Because people always say, PG-13 horror movies no good, blah, blah. But that's a PG-13 horror movie, and it totally works. The point is, you can make a good movie rated whatever it is. I've seen plenty of R-rated movies that are terrible. So.
Yep.
All right, Justin, number 2.
My number 2 is also the Wolfman, continuing the trend. And I mean, as everybody can see by my display here, I love the Wolfman.
Oh, yeah.
Always been one of my favorite monsters, and I watched the Universal Monster movies during the summer of 2004 when I bought the Legacy Collection, when they started with only Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman, and then later bumped it up to the Mummy, Invisible Man, and Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I think they did a Fly one eventually too.
Did they?
Not sure, but I'll have to look into that. And it's it's a movie that's always stuck with me from when I was a teenager, and I first fell in love with it. And actually, my last time seeing that one was actually in a theater on 35 millimeter. I've seen that one twice in theaters.
Nice.
Once was with The Howling. The Howling was on 35 millimeter, but The Wolfman was on digital for interesting reasons. And then But I did see it again a few years later at another theater in LA, the Vista, on a double feature with The Invisible Man, and both movies were on 35mm film. So that was a very neat experience.
Yeah, so that sounds great. Out real quick because you guys are out in LA and there's like a lot of really cool theaters like that. And I was really happy. One of my local theaters in Boston, the Coolidge, which has been around since the 20s, I think. And there was a lot of talk it might be closed forever, but it reopened this week, which I was really excited about. And so wherever you're listening to the show or watching the show, you might have a theater like that in your area. You know, seek it out. Because not only is it fun to watch movies in 35mm or however they show them, but if you get out there and watch them and support them, you know, they'll stay around.
It's true.
All right. That was number 2, I believe.
Yes, we were on number 2.
Number 1. And hello.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Dean, I believe it's Dobbs. Dean Dobbs is in the chat and he says hello from England.
Hello.
Who took me out for fish and chips when I was in London. He's a good guy.
Nice.
All right, number 1.
Oh, my one is the Wolfman as well.
Oh, excellent.
Tough to beat the Wolfman.
You had it even higher than any of us.
I know. Mine 1 and 2 I was debating over, but
1 and 2 could be interchangeable for me, honestly.
Yeah.
But I have my reasons for number 1, though. So
I have a feeling all of our number 1s might be the same between the 3 gentlemen here.
Well, my number 1, probably people already know because I talk about it all the time. Sure, American Werewolf in London. I think it's the best transformation scene. Not only that, though, I think it's one of the best comedy horrors because.
Oh yeah,
I think for a comedy horror to work, it has to work as a horror movie. And you could watch it just a straight up horror movie. All the gore works, all the horror works. And the comedy is very dry, which is the kind of comedy I like. And so you could watch it without even noticing that, I think. But it works on either level. I think the friend character is one of the best parts of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Coming back. Griffin. Yeah, as the undead guy. And
Griffin Dunn's just awesome in that role, too.
Trying to get him to kill himself, which should be an awful thing. Like everything in it's really awful, but at the same time it's funny. And then the transformation scene, not only does it look cool, the idea that he's in so much pain transforming into the werewolf, I think really is a big part of the movie. The music, even though in a way I think you could think, oh, it's really obvious they're using all the music about moons and stuff, but it totally works in the movie. The beginning part when they're alone out in the moors, I think I'm not trying to be a tough guy when I always say like I don't really get scared of movies, but I think that stuff's actually genuinely creepy when they're out in the darkness and they don't know what's going around them. And the only negative to me is I actually don't really care for the look of the werewolf, but it's barely in the movie. And
when he's all done transforming,
I'm not a big fan, but as a movie, I love it. And you really don't even, the werewolf doesn't, well, he has scenes where you don't really see him, but you only see him for like a few seconds.
Yeah, it's like the shark in Jaws. I think they knew, like keep him just for those special occasions.
Yeah, actually, when I listened to our David Naughton interview I mentioned earlier, and he had mentioned that originally John Landis wanted more of the werewolf in the movie, but they were like, please don't put, and he said it worked for the best, that they didn't.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, there's a funny story about that. In one of the earlier DVD releases of the movie, Rick Baker mentions in a documentary that you never see the behind of the werewolf, and it's because out of the behind of the werewolf is the werewolf operator's legs, and they're actually doing like a wheelbarrow thing with it.
Oh,
yeah. So there was actually someone holding up the operator's legs behind the werewolf, and actually,
that's wild.
And when you see the behind the scenes footage of it, actually, there's a point where they let the camera roll and you just see the werewolf just whiz on by, and you see the back legs actually are kind of moving awkwardly. It's because they're not even touching the ground.
That reminds me of in the Hellraiser, which I never noticed until it was brought to my attention. At the end of the movie, I forget the name of the character when it's like chasing through the corridor, kind of out of hell.
Oh yeah.
And you can see the legs of the people controlling it. which I never noticed because I think I was just into the movie. But after it was brought to my attention, like I think it was on the I forget what it's called. It's like I think it's the first 2 or 3 movies, and they put it out on in a box set. And in the special edition, they talk about that, and then you totally notice it. You can see the feet, and then that's all I ever noticed. You can see the feet and like part of like the little machine. It's the same way. It's like a wheelbarrow pushing it down this corridor.
I'm surprised I haven't noticed that yet, given that that's sort of a Halloween tradition for me to watch that around October. Hellraiser.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, now that you know, you probably won't be able to miss it.
Yeah, now
because I never know.
Can't unsee it. Yeah.
All right, number 1 for Trista.
Yeah, that's also my number 1, and I really don't have anything to add. I just everything about that movie I love.
Justin?
Also my number 1, and you can't see it, but just above Dawn of the Dead over here is An American Werewolf in London. It's
nice.
One of my favorite movies of all time, one of my favorite horror movies. It makes my top 10 horror movies list. The transformation is great. I love it. Can't say enough things about it. I mean, it got Rick Baker an Academy Award, and I mean, it was the first. It wasn't the movie that created the best makeup effects award. That was The Elephant Man a year before, but it was the first movie to win that award, and therefore Rick Baker's first award. And I mean, it's a funny movie. It's a movie I've seen so many times since I was a teenager. First saw when I was 13 on AMC, actually, on the AMC network. And I know almost every line in the movie by heart. It's actually a staple in my family's household. We watch it quite frequently since I was a kid, and it might even be my first werewolf film as well. And just like The Howling, it's another werewolf movie where the orchestral score actually gets stuck in my head and comes about every once in a while. In fact, before this podcast, I was listening to the excerpts of the score because it's to this day never been released in soundtrack form because it's just snippets.
Oh.
But then the last thing I'll say about An American Werewolf is, even though I can't say that the movie scared me, it also kind of did in a way, because after the movie was done and I loved it, thought it was great, didn't scare me, but then at night I'm walking to my bathroom, which is right out here, right outside my bedroom, and there's a hallway straight down that way. And I remember, I would walk out of the bathroom and I would just walk straight to my room afterwards, just not wanting to look down the hallway, thinking that I'm going to see a werewolf down there. Just a quadruped werewolf. Which I am actually one of the few that in this group that does like the design of the werewolf myself, and
cool.
I'm actually excited to eventually get the NECA figure when it finally goes on sale.
Nice.
It does look nice, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
They should have guys with a wheelbarrow in the back.
They should.
We can kit bash. We can make that.
That's true. But yeah, that figure is amazing.
It is.
I always think, why didn't they have these figures when I was a kid? But
then you would have broken it
$90
or something.
I mean, hey, this is the closest to NECA I got when I was about 14, and I mean, it's pretty good, pretty damn good.
Yep.
Unfortunately, this guy broke, but I had a little wolf man. He used to be up here.
Oh. Have to glue his arm back on.
Yeah. Very sad. Any honorable mentions that have not been mentioned? Because I had Monster Squad, which Trista had on her list.
Teen Wolf and Company of the Wolf for me, honestly.
I was a teenage werewolf.
I thought you were just telling that.
Oh, well, I was, but yeah, that could also be my honorable mention.
Me too.
And
let's see. I have Wolf Cop. I actually really like Wolf Cop. Very silly movie. The wolf looks cool. And let's see. Big Bad Wolf. I think it's a fun werewolf movie. And it's not really a werewolf movie, but there's a cool one of the short stories in it is cool, and that's Trick or Treat.
Oh yeah,
that is a fantastic movie for sure.
Yeah, I love. But I didn't really consider it a werewolf movie, so I didn't have my list. But.
Same. That's why I didn't make my list either.
Yep.
All right, very good. Is there any good werewolf TV shows?
There's an old one that had Chuck Connors in it that was really good, but I think it only lasted one season. It never had the payoff. I can't remember what it was called, but I loved it. And if it was
Chuck
around
Connors
now, it probably he was one of the pack of the werewolves, and they had like a rogue werewolf that kind of took off. He didn't want to be part of like the evil band of werewolves, and so Chuck Connors and his boys, they were trying to track him down.
Chuck Connors is a werewolf. I'm on board.
Yeah. He was great too, because he was kind of creepy old Chuck Connors. It wasn't like the Rifleman, Chuck Connors.
I do love the Rifleman.
Oh, I do too. Don't get me wrong.
But I also
and he also played for the Celtics, so I love him on two levels.
But I also do love him in Tourist Trap, though. So there you go.
Yeah, it was more around that time. It was a little bit later than that. I can't remember what the show was called, but they did a lot of the Universal things where you would see the pentagram on somebody's palm if they were going to be your victim, and it was a really cool show, and I think it only lasted the one season. I never got the payoff. And now I see every show last for like 12 or 15 seasons. I'm like, man, why didn't this stuff come around now?
Yeah, well, I mean, about streaming is things get more of a chance to, even if they don't have like millions of viewers, they can live. What were you saying, Justin? Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say unrelated. I mean, you had shows like MASH back in the day that lasted like 11 years, so that's about as. Yeah. You wouldn't get horror shows like that, though. The closest was maybe Dark Shadows.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It just seems like nowadays everything, like even things that you think just kind of came and went. It's like Riverdale, I think, is in its like 5th or 6th season. Like, really? Sexy Archie's in its 6th season? That's kind of crazy to me.
I've not seen it.
No, neither have I. In fairness, it might be a great show.
Yeah.
Oh, which that reminds me, I mentioned my history with werewolf movies, actually, attempting to make them anyway.
Oh, yeah.
There were 2 instances of that. One was back in the day, I used to experiment with Legos back in the early 2000s, making short films with those. And so I actually got very ambitious and tried to make a werewolf movie with that, where it would have been werewolves in the Middle Ages, and it was going to be called Mark of the Beast, which was used as a manuscript story in mine and Trista's film Queen of the Dead. And so the script for that film that I wrote back in the late 2000s actually found its way into Queen of the Dead as a prop. And so it was going to be werewolves in the Middle Ages. The werewolves themselves were actually going to be animated through rotoscoping, having like clay models that were just stop motion animated. But it was just too ambitious a project, and other films and shows that come out since then that I felt kind of discouraged. Now, in terms of live action, though, I had made my film Blood of the Damned, which was part of the Slasher 6 Halloween Marathon. And there was going to be sort of an anthology series of that, where there was going to be another short film every year or so that was connected to that film in some way as like part of a weird lineup. So the next one was going to be a werewolf one that I also got ambitious once again and tried to cast myself as the werewolf in that, while I was also the writer, director, producer. And I was featured as the vampire hunter in Blood of the Damned. But I didn't go with my later realization that I'm not that good of an actor. And so I tried to be the lead werewolf in this movie. And on top of that, the other actors that I was with, we could only commit to so many days, where we got actually quite a bit of it shot, but not enough to make a complete film. And looking at the footage now, it's not very good. I'm not very good in it. Most of the actors aren't very good. The script is also not very good. So just a lot of things add up to the movie not being good and not worth continuing maybe revisiting and seeing if I can improve upon it with another actor playing the werewolf. Which this was also my first time doing special effects on one of my own films. I actually did the makeup on myself as a werewolf. So there is actually werewolf footage of me out there in this full werewolf design, Wolfman design. So
very cool. Well, I hope I have faith in you that we will eventually see your werewolf film.
most definitely. I've been tempted to possibly do something with a female werewolf, actually, and I think Trista might be an interesting choice for the role of werewolf.
I love this idea. Thank you.
I think we're all we're all fans of this idea. And we mentioned on the show, but Queen of the Dead is on YouTube now, and it's won lots of awards at festivals.
It is quite. I can't even keep track anymore. I think it's as far as awards go, I think it's around 11, and then it's been entered in several different festivals over the last 2 years since it's been completed. So
that's very good. It's great, and I'm glad people are seeing it and appreciating it.
Most definitely, yeah. No, it seems like it's already hit 1,000 on YouTube, and it has like 39 thumbs up and only 2 thumbs down. So
there's people out there that will just give anything thumbs down.
It's true.
Yeah.
How could anyone give anything with Trista if thumbs down?
Exactly.
This is what I'm saying, guys.
That's gonna be her quote on the DVD. How could anyone give anything with Trista thumbs down?
Exactly.
Very cool. Well, I don't know what happened to Troy here.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering myself.
Yeah, probably looking for skulls or something. I don't know.
Maybe the dog.
Maybe the pin.
Hungry.
Could be, or the bees. He's got 10,000 bees now. So anyway, you can get these cool 8-bit retro shirts at slasherman.com. We got a Howlman right here.
Fangman.
It's Howlman here. I don't want to get sued, but so you can get that. And a lot of cool ones, a lot of independent horror movies are on there and classic horror movies. So check that out. They're very fun. Queen of the Dead. Watch that on YouTube. Troy.
Hello.
What's going on? He's popping in and out here. Scared me. I just found out coming up on the show, not during our Werewolf Month, but maybe next month, we are going to have Veronica Carlson on the show, Hammer horror film star. So that's going to be very cool.
I'll need to tune in on that one, actually.
Yeah, she's in Dracula Has Risen from the Grave with Christopher Lee.
Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed as well.
Yes, with Peter Cushing. So that's going to be a very exciting show. Looking forward to that. We'll have to schedule because of the time difference, because she's actually in England, I believe. But that'll be very cool. Coming up, we're going to have some more werewolf guests here in the coming weeks. I'm going to try to schedule some guests from some movies here that we brought up. Anything there, Mr. Jones?
Got nothing to report. I don't think in the world of horror, no. I have nothing. I'm sorry.
Justin, it's always cool to have you here.
Always.
You're an honorary member of Without Your Head.
Yes, indeed.
Not just because you have head in the name.
But it doesn't hurt.
Right.
Most definitely. And it's always a blast to be with you guys on this, and look forward to doing future lists and future guest spots.
Very good. It'll be a good time.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Trista. Thank you.
You have that open door policy. You may come anytime you'd like.
Most definitely. Thank you, Troy. Thank you all for having me on here, and thank you for having Sandy as well.
Thank you, Sandy.
Yes.
Yes, thanks for bumping up our hits. I remember a couple weeks ago we had a guest who their cat's on Instagram. I'm sure they're going to tune in to see Sandy.
Most definitely. Just mention there's cats in the description, and we'll be you'll be golden.
Start doing that. Hashtag cats in the.
That's great.
Yeah. All right. We'll see everyone soon. Thanks for watching. A lot of people are in the chat. Thanks, guys.
Oh yeah. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Thank you guys. Had a lot of fun.
Yell at us if we missed your favorite werewolf movie. Post it over on the Facebook group. Follow us on Twitter, subscribe, hit the bell icon, get all the notifications, follow us on Instagram. Just follow us everywhere except to our homes, and we'll be very happy. All right. Good night, everybody.
Very good. Good night.
Well.